All right, so get ready because we are diving deep today.
Okay.
We are going all the way back to 1907.
Wow.
Yeah, 1907, a time when, you know,
Yeah.
scientists were starting to really figure out atoms.
Right.
And, back then there was like all this excitement around scientific discoveries,
Yeah.
but also a lot of people were really into the occult.
Yeah, it was a real blend.
Yeah. So we are looking at a book called Dynamic Thought or The Law of Vibrant Energy by this guy, William Walker Atkinson.
Oh, Atkinson. Yeah.
And he was not afraid of big ideas, let me tell you.
No, he was not. And what I find so interesting about Atkinson is how he doesn't really pick a side.
Oh, interesting.
Like, he's not all about science and he's not all about occultism.
Right.
He kind of calls out both groups, actually. He's like, those scientists, they're great at proving things,
Yeah.
but they miss the bigger picture.
Uh-huh.
They miss the why.
Like they're so busy in the weeds.
Exactly. They get lost in the details and they miss, like, the whole point.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, you have the occultists and they're seeing all this wild stuff, right?
Right.
But they can't really explain it.
Yeah.
Like, they can't make it make sense to someone who wants proof.
Yeah, it's all just like feelings.
Right, exactly.
It's not very satisfying if you're like a scientifically minded person.
Exactly. So you've got these two groups, both working on the same puzzle, but from totally different angles.
And they can't quite put it together. Right.
Exactly. And that's where Atkinson comes in. He's trying to find all the missing pieces.
He's like the puzzle master.
Oh. Exactly. He's not afraid to, really dig deep into both scientific observation and the occult ideas to build this big, grand theory.
Okay, so where does he even begin with this? What's his starting point?
Well, he starts with a really bold statement. Life in everything.
Okay.
Yeah, he points to things we see every day. Like, have you ever noticed how metal can actually wear out?
Yeah, like my phone, talking about metal fatigue, am I right?
Exactly. Or how about a tuning fork? If you let it vibrate long enough, it eventually loses its monolizing.
Right, it just kind of dies.
Exactly. Even the way that plants reach for the sun.
Okay.
Atkinson says these are all hints that there's more to the universe than just, stuff.
So he's saying, like, even my old phone is out there, like, living its best life. I'm not sure I'm following.
Okay, so to understand where he's coming from, we have to think smaller.
Smaller.
Yeah, like way smaller, like microscopic.
Oh.
Like those nature documentaries.
Oh, yeah.
With those crazy creatures that look like they're from another planet.
Right, like those diatoms with the intricate geometric shapes.
Yes. Exactly. Those diatoms were a big deal back then. They were like the height of microscopy.
They're like little works of art.
They really are. And Atkinson used them to make a point. If we can find that level of complexity, that much life,
right,
at a scale we can barely even see,
yeah.
Imagine what's happening at the submicroscopic level.
Submicroscopic. Okay, so like even smaller.
Exactly. A world of particles so small they couldn't even see them back then.
Oh.
He's suggesting that life might exist at levels we can't even comprehend.
Okay, now my brain is starting to hurt.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in.
So hold on. If life is everywhere, even in things we think of as inanimate, does that mean, like, my coffee cup is alive?
Well, he didn't necessarily say that every atom had a brain.
Okay.
But Atkinson did believe that wherever there's life, there's also what he called mentation.
Mentation.
Yeah, it sounds kind of weird, but before you go picturing rocks having deep thoughts.
Okay.
He used mentation to describe any kind of mental process, even something as simple as a single-celled organism responding to light.
So like a basic impulse.
Exactly.
Or like a reaction, not exactly writing poetry,
Right.
but still some kind of like rudimentary mind at work.
You got it. And this is key to his whole theory. He's setting the stage for the idea that even the smallest bits of the universe aren't just blindly following physical laws. There's a tiny spark of something else driving it all.
Okay, I think I see where he's going with this, but let's say, just for fun, I entertain this idea that everything's a little bit alive. How does he explain how things move and change and interact? It can't all be down to tiny minds playing microscopic bumper cars, right?
That's where his big idea comes in, the law of attraction.
Okay.
And I don't mean like manifesting your dream life kind of attraction.
Okay, because that's a whole other deep dive.
Exactly. He's talking about something far more fundamental, a force he believed was the most powerful in the universe.
Okay.
And get this, it applies to everything.
Everything. You mean like the reason I'm stuck to my chair right now?
You got it. He starts with gravity. I mean, it's kind of hard to miss, right?
Sure.
But Atkinson's point is that every single particle, from you to your chair to that crumb on the floor.
Hold on. My crumbs have their own gravitational pull.
In essence, yes.
Oh.
He's saying that it's not just the Earth pulling down, it's this universal dance of attraction happening at every level.
Okay, but that seems different from, say, how atoms stick together, or even how magnets work.
Those are great questions, and that leads us to the truly radical part of Atkinson's argument.
Okay, hit me with it.
He's saying that all those things, gravity, magnets, even chemical reactions, they're all just different expressions of the same underlying law, attraction.
Wow, okay, that's a bold claim.
It is, and it's where things start to get really wild.
I am so ready.
He calls it dynamic thought.
Dynamic thought. Okay, that sounds important, but also like it could mean anything.
Right. Well,
Hit
basically,
me with it.
Atkinson is saying that thought itself, like the actual act of thinking,
Yeah.
isn't just some abstract thing happening in our heads. He thinks it has a real impact on the physical world.
Okay, so like mind over matter.
Kind of, but on a much grander scale. Remember, back then, everyone was obsessed with the ether.
Oh yeah, like that mysterious stuff they thought filled all of space.
Exactly, the cosmic jello that everything was floating in. But instead of some invisible substance,
Okay.
Atkinson is suggesting it's more like an ocean of mind, of thought itself, connecting everything.
Okay, cosmic mind ocean. I am so here for this. But how does a thought, even like a really strong one, how does it do anything? Like, how does it go from my brain to, I don't know, making my coffee cup move?
Okay, well, that's where the vibrant energy part of the title comes in.
Okay, wait on me.
So Atkinson argued that everything from you and me to those microscopic diatoms to your coffee cup is vibrating at different frequencies.
My coffee cup is vibrating.
Well, not in a way you can see,
Okay, good, because that would be alarming.
but he believed that these vibrations are what create the forces we experience in the world.
Okay, I think I need an example because my mind is going a million different places right now.
Okay, well, think about light. We know that different colors of light have different wavelengths.
Right, like a prism splitting it all up.
Exactly. And wavelengths are just a form of vibration,
Like,
right?
I see where you're going with this.
So Atkinson believed that everything has a similar kind of vibrational signature.
Even if we can't see it.
Exactly. And just like red light is different from blue light, these subtle vibrations create the different properties of matter.
So it's not that my coffee cup is like shaking right now.
Yeah.
It's that it has its own unique energy frequency.
You got it.
Okay. But how does that explain how it interacts with other things? Like if I pick it up, my hand and the cup are like syncing up their vibes.
That's a great question. And it goes back to his idea of attraction being the fundamental force, remember?
Okay.
He uses magnets as a prime example.
Okay. So my hand and the coffee cup are like magnetically attracted to each other.
Not exactly magnetic in the way we usually think about it, but imagine each object having a kind of vibrational field around it.
Okay. Like an aura, but with more science.
Exactly. And when those fields align in a certain way, bam, attraction.
Because their vibes are a match.
You got it. And when the vibrations clash, you get repulsion.
Okay, I'm kind of loving this cosmic symphony you're painting here. But this is all still pretty theoretical, right? Like, how did Atkinson explain how thought itself plays into all of this?
Well, he believed that our thoughts also have their own vibrational frequencies.
Wait, so my thoughts are sending out vibes into the universe. Is that what people meant by good vibes only?
Maybe. Atkinson did believe that positive thoughts had higher, more harmonious vibrations, while negative thoughts were more, well, discordant.
So, like, bad vibes.
Exactly. And he took it a step further. He thought that these thought vibrations could actually influence the vibrations of things around us.
Okay, hold on. Are you saying my thoughts can literally change the vibration of my coffee cup?
It's not quite as simple as, like, glaring at something and changing its molecular structure.
Okay, good. Because I have some very strong thoughts about my alarm clock on Monday morning, but I don't want to accidentally break it.
Right, but remember, this was a time when they were discovering things like X-rays and radioactivity, invisible forces that had very real effects.
Right, it was a time of incredible scientific advancement.
Exactly. And Atkinson was trying to apply that same logic to the power of thought.
So he's not saying we can all become, like, thought-powered superheroes.
Not exactly, but he is suggesting that our thoughts aren't just passive.
Okay, so they actually do something.
He believed they carry a kind of energy that interacts with the world around us on a very fundamental level.
So what you're saying is, thoughts are powerful.
That's the gist of it. And he even believed this was the basis for things like psychic phenomena, that it's not magic, but rather these subtle vibrational energies that we haven't fully understood yet.
Okay, now I see how this ties back to his whole bridging science and occultism thing.
Exactly.
He's basically saying, The things occultists were talking about might actually have a real basis in these vibrant energies, even if their methods were a bit, well,
Out there.
yeah, a little out there,
I think that's a fair assessment, and you can see why his ideas caught on.
because he was kind of a rebel.
In a way, yes, but also he was taking these mind-blowing scientific discoveries
Yeah.
and connecting them to these age-old questions about the power of the mind.
Right, like, are we just our brains, or is there something more?
Exactly. It was, and still is, heady stuff.
It really makes you think twice about that whole mind over matter saying.
It really does, but what did Atkinson think people should actually do with this information?
Yeah, was it just a cool theory?
Oh, no. Atkinson was all about practical application. He believed that once you understood these principles,
Yeah.
particularly the law of attraction and the power of dynamic thought,
Okay.
that you could use them to shape your own reality.
Okay, so not telekinesis, but more like, what, positive thinking?
That's part of it, but he goes deeper.
Deeper.
He talks about things like visualization, creating a clear mental picture of what you want to achieve.
So like a vision board, but inside your head.
Exactly. He also believed in affirmations,
Affirmation.
repeating positive statements about yourself and your goals to align your vibrations with your desires.
That actually sounds kind of familiar. Wasn't this around the same time that the New Thought movement was gaining popularity?
Absolutely. Atkinson was a key figure in that movement. He believed that we have way more control over our lives than we realize,
Okay.
and that by harnessing the power of our minds, we can achieve amazing things.
It's a pretty empowering message, even if you're not totally sold on the whole vibrations thing.
Right.
But let's be real, there are times when no amount of positive thinking seems to work.
Oh, absolutely.
So how did Atkinson explain those times when life throws you a curveball? You know, when things just don't go your way, no matter how hard you're visualizing that perfect parking spot.
He did, and it gets back to that bigger picture he was always talking about, you know?
Yeah, like zoom out.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
not just about, like, getting what you want. It's about understanding that everything is connected.
Okay.
And if we can get in sync with those bigger forces, well, we can
Yeah.
kind of ride the waves instead of getting crushed by them.
So less about controlling every little thing and more about, I don't know, going with the flow, but like in a cosmic way.
Exactly. He believed that by really understanding these underlying principles of the universe, we could work with them instead of against them.
It's like instead of trying to swim upstream against a raging current,
Yeah.
you learn how to like ride that current to where you want to go.
Exactly. It's not that the challenges disappear, but maybe we can approach them with, like, more wisdom, more resilience.
So it's not about avoiding the tough stuff. It's about like how you handle it.
Exactly. And, you know, this all goes back to his point about the limits of both science and occultism on their own. Oh, right.
Like he felt that science, in its quest for objective truth,
Yeah.
often missed the human element,
Okay.
like the power of belief, the power of our own perception.
Just shape our reality.
Exactly. And occultism, while full of, interesting ideas,
Right.
often lacked that grounded, evidence-based approach.
So we need both. A little bit of the scientist's skepticism, but also the occultist's willingness to, like, entertain some wilder ideas.
I think Atkinson would totally agree. He saw them as two sides of the same coin,
Oh, I like that.
each offering a valuable perspective.
So it's not about choosing a side, it's about embracing the mystery, the complexity of it all.
Exactly. And that sense of wonder was something he really emphasized.
Wonder.
Yeah, like that awe in the face of the unknown.
Because it keeps us curious.
Yes, keeps us open to new possibilities. Prevents us from getting stuck in our old ways of thinking.
Exactly.
It is kind of humbling, though, isn't it?
It is.
To realize how much we don't know
Absolutely.
and that there might be, like, all these forces at work that we're just barely starting to understand.
It's like we're just scratching the surface.
Right. I mean, think about all the things we've discovered about the universe just in the past, like, 100 years.
I know, it's incredible.
Things that would have sounded like pure science fiction to Atkinson back then.
It really makes you wonder what else is out there waiting to be discovered.
What mysteries we might unlock if we're, brave enough to even ask the questions.
Exactly. And that, I think, is at the heart of Atkinson's message.
What do you mean?
He wanted us to see ourselves as active participants in this whole unfolding mystery of the universe.
Not just like reading the book of the universe.
Yeah, but actually writing our own chapter.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
So we've covered a lot of ground here, from tiny vibrating atoms to the cosmic ocean of mind.
Right. Atkinson really threw everything at the wall and saw what stuck.
He really did. He gave us a lot to think about. But if our listeners were only going to remember one thing from this whole deep dive, what would you want it to be?
For me, it's that idea that we are not just cogs in a machine.
Okay.
We are conscious creators.
Of our own reality.
Exactly. And whether or not we buy into every single detail of his theory, I think the core message is so important.
Thick yes.
That our thoughts, our beliefs, our intentions, they all matter. We have far more power than we realize. It's up to us to use it wisely.
I love that. What a great note to end on. A call to action and a reminder of our own incredible potential. Well said.
Thank you.
And on that note, I think you're going to wrap up this deep dive into the mind-blowing world of William Walker Atkinson and his dynamic thought. But before we go, I want to leave you with this. If Atkinson is right, and our thoughts really do have the power to shape reality, what kind of world do you choose to create?